Hello, and welcome to the Biz Site Demo. My name is Carly. I am the onboarding lead here at Bookmanager. Today, we're going to be going through the Biz Site and everything that entails. To give you a little background, the Biz Site is the online extension of your Bookmanager software. Your software on a day-to-day basis is going to be doing your point of sale, running your point of sale, helping you with some of your ordering, special ordering, pre-orders, receiving. The online environment, so our Biz Site, is a way for you to look at a lot of that information, for you to actually build some orders and do some research for orders, see forthcoming titles. Again, find books for the store using some of the peer data that exists behind the scenes. So we're going to jump into that. We're also going to see from the Biz Site how you can make changes to your web store settings, as that's where that will be done from as well as adding events, making lists. There's a whole bunch of things we can do. So I'm going to share my screen with you all, and we're going to get right to it. Here we go. So where we are to start is I am logged in as a staff member of Mosaic Books. I'm logged in as Carly here on the site. Mosaic Books, in case you don't know, is our sister independent bookstore here to Bookmanager. This is where we do all of our testing, all of our development, but is a full up and running 8,000 square foot beautiful bookstore in the downtown of our city. So I'm going to use their data today. Now, Mosaic Books, again, in case you don't know, is in Canada. I am also in Canada. So I'm going to be seeing data from Canadian bookstores, from our Canadian publishers, distributors, wholesalers. Know that when you have your system, if you're a Canadian or if you're one of my US stores, you are going to have the data set for your country. So that's something that we set up. We make sure that you have. There are quite a few similarities between our two countries, but there's also a lot of differences. So know that that will be how we will set your store up. So today, if I'm mentioning different distributors, wholesalers, talk about different bookstores that you're not familiar with, then of course that's the reason. So where I am right now, I'm under the purchasing tab, and I'm specifically under browse. So when I get into this area, now the database in itself behind the scenes is about 26.5 million titles as of today. About 12.5 million titles, or 12.2 million titles of those are considered active, meaning they're selling, being stocked at bookstores, at distributors, at wholesalers. That is a lot of titles for you to look through. So right now it's showing me that in this browse area, it's showing me 1 in 50 of 12.27992 million results. Again, too much for you to look through and wade through if you are trying to find books for your store. So what I have at the top here are all these different filters that I can play with to limit what I want to see. So for instance, today, let's say I am a brand new bookseller and I am wanting to start out and just grab kind of the top, maybe some bestsellers. But if, let's say, I want to look at a specific publisher, maybe I'm building out my opening order to Penguin Random House or to Raincoast or Macmillan or whoever it might be, depending again on my country, what I can do is I can filter what I'm seeing. So I can kind of look across the top here and I can go, let's go to supplier. I'm going to scroll through this list. And again, these are all these Canadian different distributors. We have lots in Canada, a lot more than in the United States because our book, again, our things are a little different. So I'm going to go down to Penguin Random House here. I'm going to say, yes, show me the things from Penguin Random House. So that gets rid of Iron Flame from the top of the list because Iron Flame is not available through Penguin Random House. And I see this the next book. Now, this is the #1 book in Canada right now from Penguin Random House. This is the Giller, for Giller. So, of course, and winner of the Giller. So of course it's at the top right now. They often are. I can see the title, the binding, the price, when it came out, what its overall rank is. So right now, this is #3 overall, but the top book coming from Penguin Random House. I can see the publisher, I can see the author, and I can see the publisher. I can see the subject of the book. I can see some of the actual more nitty-gritty details here. So 208 pages and all of that. I can see the ISBN. I can see some other things down here. You might be wondering, why is there an Amazon logo? Well, that's because you might want to click here and see this book on another book website. So we have a quick link there so you can read, see, compare prices, whatever you need to do. Know that that exists, but a lot of times we're not using that. And this, of course, as we scroll down here, we can see some comments. So these are coming from publishers, distributors, maybe reps, maybe your own staff, or you are making comments on books. I know sometimes in stores, I can see, they use a spot to tell staff when there's an advanced reader copy of a book, or perhaps a book that you're skipping. Sometimes it's nice to make a note there as to that you're skipping that title, the reason for the skip, whatever it is. So you can use this for, of course, read the comments coming from others, but you can also make your own comment, which is kind of fun. So I can make a comment, I can make it visible to just me. So maybe when I'm logged in, something I need to remember for myself, or all of the staff under sort of the umbrella of the bookstore, or visitors. So this is kind of a fun thing. This links up to the live site, which if you have questions about, you can watch the web store ordering demo or web store demo. I can make comments, reviews. I can add any old thing to on a book for a visitor to see. So we use this a lot for our customer reviews, or sorry, for our staff reviews in our staff picks lists. So know that this is all available in this area as well. So I'm going to press cancel there because I don't have a comment today. I can see a description, an author bio, the reviews that are coming through. Sometimes this marketing information is very helpful especially for forthcoming titles. It'll include information about print runs, marketing campaigns. That can give you an idea sometimes of how widespread this book is going to be once it's come out. Most importantly here, I can see how many I have on hand right now. So right now, the store in this green highlight here, this indicates how many you have on hand. The orange part here lets us know how many we have on order. So right now we have a lot on hand. This again is a big seller for us, as we're going to look at in a second. This was just announced, so we will see this continue probably to do very well for us for the rest of the holiday season. Now over on the right here, I can see what this looks like in our store. So this is all the history, the data from the Bookmanager software lining up with what is online. Now everything is live synced. So as I sell out of things, as I receive them, if we just received 10 more copies, that would update here automatically. It lets me know, like this is a special, this little bit here saying panned, that is a special code in our system to let our staff and when we build reports and whatnot know that this book is in the Pandozzi window. We are located on the corner of two streets, Pandozzi, Bernard. So we put notes that it's in that Pandozzi window as a feature so that, again, if we run out or if we need to find additional stock, we know where to find it. In the software, we can do some fun reporting on that to either discount or bring up a report of all those books in that window. But again, that's something specific to our store. We put in a note that it is the Giller winner and it was on the Booker shortlist. So again, these are things that we can use to search for books in the actual Bookmanager software, see notes on them, but they also appear online here. Now, what I also have is the location that this book lives in our store. So in our store, we have a fiction section. It's incredibly, it's very large. We're very fiction heavy. We have a lot of subgenres under that classification. So one of them is Canadian. It is probably our biggest, I would say, subgenre with all our Canadian authors. So I see fiction Canadian here to let me know where this is shelved. I can see the invoice price, or sorry, the retail price that's in the system. And then I actually get the history. So I can see here, we've received 101 copies so far and roughly how that's lined up per month. So we got 6 in August when it originally came out, got 6 more in October. Then it was announced as the Giller, or, again, on that short list and and then eventually the winner. We have lots of stock. And so far this week, we have received 48 copies. The line right below here is telling me how many we've sold overall. So right now we've sold 16, but again, we're anticipating, first of all, for this book to be a consistent seller throughout the holidays. And then also we're on the West Coast in Canada. Books take a very long time to get to us. We have to play the game of anticipating and doing a lot of sort of, I guess, guesswork in terms of how big a book is going to be in order for us not to run out. So this was, and again, hoping that we have enough copies to get us through the season. But as of now, it looks like we're a little bit overstocked, but I'll show you in a moment why we probably are not. So 16 copies total sold, 2 copies August, 4 copies October, November, things are picking up, and we can see 5 copies then sold in this most recent week. Right now, we have one hold in the system. So 84 copies are available. We have a total of 85, nothing on order, and then nothing here in our cart. So this is something fun I'm going to show you in a moment. So put a pin in that. But right below here, it's letting me know how my peer data is lining up to my own data. So it's letting me know that 138 of my peers in Canada so far have sold this book. Roughly, again, 77 copies in August, September, October, November, all you can see the sales have spiked. Most recent week, lots of sales in the most recent week. This information here is really fun. You can see that 95 stores currently have 1,052 on hand, because it's under my on hand column here, and 104 locations or stores are waiting for about 1,100 copies. This is going to make a lot of sense in a second, because what we're going to look at is then the price and availability coming from our vendors. So not only are we seeing our own in-store information, which is incredibly helpful, if we're thinking of ordering or we're wanting to then do some ordering from this environment, we need to know who we can get these books from. So right below here, when we look at order, I can see Penguin Random House has copies. They are saying, and this is again very similar to what we see in the software when we're talking about pub stock. Again, if that's all new to you, definitely have a look at the software demo after this, because we get into what pub stock is, what it is, and how you can use it. Penguin Random House is showing right now that yes, they have it on hand, but oh no, it's being managed. This happens with all big titles, and this is a way for it to be evenly distributed throughout the whole book selling community. So we know today, even if we wanted to get 100 copies, we probably wouldn't get them all sent to us at the same time. They would probably trickle in over the next several weeks, because they can't, it's a big title. They need to make sure that everyone's getting stock. So we, again, that 84 copies is looking pretty good, because if we know we can't get copies fast and this book continues to do very well for us, we want to make sure we're ready, and it looks like we are. So great job, Sarah. Sarah's our buyer. Right now, sell price $29.95, which matches what we're selling it for. Fantastic. We can see our discount, so 46%, which means our profit margin is 46%. So this is all sort of, you get sort of, I guess, reminders or letting you know like what you're going to be making based on what you're bringing the books in for. Lets us know our cost and how long ago that was. So Penguin Random House sends to us throughout the night. This looks like it's about 19 hours ago since we've got it. So we're due for another file in about 5 hours, which sounds about right. We get about 6 p.m. So we're looking good there. We also can see Penguin Random House Nevada, same situation, yes, but managed, same discount, same everything. That's just another warehouse of Penguin Random House. We can see then Raincoast Book Express, a Canadian wholesaler. They're saying, well, we don't have any copies on hand. We're waiting for stock, and they're waiting 4 books from Penguin Random House. So they're also being managed. So again, we wouldn't have any other opportunity to order this book right now. We would be, in a way stuck with Penguin Random House. But again, this happens all the time. This is a total normal occurrence, but we would be waiting a long time for stock likely. We also see the Ingram. So our Ingram warehouse pair is from the Oregon side of things. Like we are very close to Oregon, so we get delivered there within a couple days. Tennessee then, of course, is everyone's backup or their secondary vendor. Sometimes it's your first, but that one is, they're both also showing they have no stock. They're very limited in their stock. They also don't have very much stock, because again, this is a Canadian title. This is our big Canadian title right now. So that's the reason for that. I also see down below here, I do have some other vendors that are available to me if I maybe have accounts with them, I'm not sure. And this is just, again, showing me that I have other options, other possibilities. Potentially, if I didn't have an account with one of these vendors, it might be a good reason to get an account, because it looks like North 49 here, they have 907 copies. So very cool. I could, again, move my order or know that I could do that through them. Pubstock is just going to be sort of letting us know all of the suppliers, regardless of our preference of who has stock right now, which is cool. The store data is, I think, one of my most favorite parts. So this lets us know how are other stores that are using Bookmanager, how they're also stocking and ordering books. Sometimes it can be very helpful to to have some consensus from other stores as to what we should be ordering, maybe sometimes how many copies. I find that especially with new stores, they're always wondering, well, how many should I bring in? And there's a lot that, you know, our fellow independent bookseller wants to share with us. You also can decide to opt out of this share. It's not mandatory by any means, or you can limit how much you're sharing. So right now, Mosaic Books, we share everything. We share our price, we share the quantity on hand that we have. As of 1 minute ago, because we are live synced up with the site, so that's the last time data came through. And then we have some friends here that are maybe not sharing everything, but they are sharing that they have the book or they don't. So we can see here, yes, there's a few stores that have yes copies. And then we have other stores that are showing all of, again, what they have on hand and what they have coming in on order. This also sometimes gives us a really good indication of who is waiting for stock, because sometimes it feels like it is a regional thing. It seems like all the bookstores around me, we're all waiting for stock, and maybe it's because of how far you are away from that publisher or distributor. So again, it sometimes helps you see that you are kind of in this community of booksellers that are kind of experiencing the same thing. And so as I scroll through this list, I am seeing all of my British Columbia stores. There is a lot of Bookmanager users in British Columbia. So as I scroll through here, these are still BC stores. And then I get to my Alberta stores and so on. And it goes alphabetically outside when you're outside of your province or out of your state. It goes then alphabetically by the state or province code. So right now I see Ontario, very cool, all the way through. And then at the bottom here, I have some of my American pals. So I can see, again, this book is something that you guys are selling in the United States, just not in the same kind of quantity or same type of way that we are selling this book currently in Canada. So this book is number 3 in Canada, probably quite a bit deeper into that bestseller for you guys. But again, sometimes it's neat to see what's going on with the other countries. So for the books that have one ISBN, that's more of the, like, you know, everyone ISBN, you're going to see the US and Canadian stores, how they're stocking the book. Sometimes we get international editions in Canada. Sometimes there's a US only edition, different covers, different titles even. So this, again, sometimes you will only see your own country, but sometimes, like in this case, you will see both. So hitting back over to this order tab, if this was something where I wanted to put it on order, I could right now. Now this book, again, we're pretty well stocked, and we will be hopefully for the next couple of weeks. So I don't want to put this book on order. But what I might want to use my filter presets for is to find out where there might be holes in what I am stocking. So not only can I choose supplier, I can also choose something like subject. So let's say if I'm like, yeah, Penguin Random House, I'm working on an order for them. I have a few books until I meet my minimum, or I want to see if there's anything else I can add before I place that order. Maybe I want to go under subject and I want to go, I like cookbooks. So let's go into cooking. So now I can see all my cookbooks coming from specifically Penguin Random House. So right now, the most popular cookbook from Penguin Random House is Jamie Oliver, number 71 overall in Canada right now, which is great, cool. I could choose a format. I could be looking just at hardcover or paperback. I could be looking at a certain date. But what I want to do is I want to look at this thing here called a stock status. So stock status, when we click on this, we can see what's in store. So 274 books, cookbooks from Penguin Random House are currently in store. 54 are currently on order. We got some new stock, we got some bargain stock because our store has remaindered books. We do lots of remaindered books, but I kind of wanted to ignore all of these. And I want to click on here on this not carried. Not carried means it's not going to be in stock or on order in my store, and therefore will show me the holes in sort of what I'm carrying. So I'm going to click on not carried. My list will change, and I get this book. So Recipe Tin Eats Dinner, 4,921 overall in bestsellers. I don't have it on hand. Our Penguin Random House rep told us it's one to watch. Lots of cool sort of information here, which is again very helpful. But I mean, that was a little while ago, so 2022. So maybe I would bring it in or not. I can see here my own data. It was in the cooking section, $47. We received one copy in November, sold it right away. Okay, so maybe that could have been a special order, maybe. I can see here my peers, 48 of my peers are selling this book, roughly how many they're selling. 22 stores have 36 on hand right now. 2 stores are waiting for 4. I might decide that this is the right book for me. In this case today, I am gonna decide. Right now, it's that time of year, a lot of people are buying cookbooks. This might be a great one for us to bring in. So if that's the case, I now would decide who I'm bringing it in from. I would likely go, because this is for store stock for my store, I would always go with Penguin Random House over Ingram. For us, in our store, Ingram's more of a special order or a bestseller type of supplier. So here I'm going to click on Penguin Random House, and it's popped up this line here. This line is then indicating that I'm putting it on order. I'm putting it on order as a new pending order into the web store environment, into the biz environment. I'm going to change this group here. So on your biz site, as well as in your Bookmanager, there might be scenarios where you're building orders for a particular thing. So let's say you are building books for a certain window that you're designing. You're looking ahead at what's coming out in summer 2024. You might decide to group those orders separate from one another, so you're not having to send all your orders at the same time. Oftentimes we're building different POs for different things. So for today, I'm going to build my own PO. I'm going to use C for Carly here. We usually use our first initials or our initials in it as our clerk codes in Bookmanager. But I'm going to use letter C here, because I know we're not using that letter. And I'm going to say that I want to put 1 on order. Great. So I would do that. That's all saved. It's saved as the moment I click out of the field there. And then I'm going to scroll down, and maybe this would be the next book that I bring in. And again, this came out on June 16th, 2020. Looks like we're pretty well stocked on cookbooks. Our buyer is, like I said, incredible. So again, maybe that would be a skip. It doesn't look exciting to me. Okay, let's move to the next one. This one, ooh, that looks good. Maybe I would. That just came out in October. I can see how my peers are selling it, that a lot of stock is being held. I remember this being featured on another site that I was looking at. So maybe I do want to bring this in. This is also being managed. So like sometimes with the managed titles, sometimes there's things that are known behind the scenes. Maybe it's about to get a big media boost or something like that. So for me today, that looks cute. I'm going to bring that in. And my settings are remembered that I'm using or I'm ordering under group C right now. So 1 more copy ordered. And I would keep going through building my order. And I could pick and choose the things I want. Ooh, I also want this one. That looks great too. Awesome. Away we go. So it's very quick once we go. If let's say you were wondering, ooh, but like, I mean, it looks cute, but like, are stores actually stocking this book, or what do those 13 bookstores look like? I can then click on stores, see what's going on, see who has it, and then again, make my decision. So this looks like it's, again, more of a US heavy book. Like right now, my Canadians aren't stocking very many, but looks like my US friends are. So again, that data is very helpful to make different decisions. So there we go. So now I can have some books that I wasn't carrying for a particular reason. I'm going to clear my filter. So I'm going to start over again, and I'm going to get right back to the top. I see Iron Flame again. I'm sure everyone's sick of seeing this cover because we're seeing it all the time whenever we go in here, but we are going to do some other things now. So we are going to play with our scope. So before, what I was looking at was all things that were active. So everything that was out there selling, being stocked, and sort of out for publication, because we were looking at things that were available for us to bring in today. What I want to change here is my scope to look at the data in a slightly different way. So instead of looking at things that are selling, I want to look at future releases. So right now there's about 111,000 books that are considered future releases. I could look at all of them. I can also look at, we have ranked future. So this means they're in the future, but they're ranked in our database because we have received information from the booksellers who are ordering them. So out of that 111,000, there's about 9,000 that are currently being ordered right now. That future releases goes very deep into future seasons, because we get our data extremely far in advance from most of the publishers. So what I want to look at today is this ranked future. So I'm going to click the check mark there, and I'm going to press go. So this is a very different type of search, because now instead of getting the things that are selling, I'm looking at the things that are forthcoming and sort of how popular different titles are. Right now in Canada, Heartstopper #5. This is the book. Everyone has this book on order. It is going to be probably our biggest title come December 19th. But what I can see is it is #1 popular in demand, but in forthcoming demand. I can still see all the same information I'm used to seeing. I can see the description, I can see the author, I can see the reviews. I could make a note on it or like a comment. And of course, I can see over here how my own store is handling this book. Right now, we have a total of 37 that are open, ready for customers to reserve against. And we also have 21 that have already been either prepaid for, pre-ordered, somebody's name attached. So we know right now we're still holding enough stock so that when this book comes in, we're going to be able to satisfy those special orders, but also have copies for the floor. That'll be very important. And potentially our buyer might use this area to just keep an eye on those top moving titles, or possibly soon to be moving titles, to make sure we're holding enough stock. Sometimes it feels like you can have certain books, it creep up on you that, oh no, you don't have any stock available for the floor because they've all been pre-ordered. So this is a good way to keep stock or keep an eye on those top titles. For now, 37, great. We are A-okay in terms of ordering, so we don't need to bring any more. But I could go through and kind of have a browse through. We also have Cat Kid Comic Club. So we, of course, this book comes out right around the corner next Tuesday. So I think we do have our stock actually right now. We also look like we got some damages. 3 of the copies were damaged, oh no. So these are all fulfilled. Now our site, our web store, and also on the site here, doesn't update this as being in stock yet, even though we have received them, because it's considered like a popular pre-order title. We don't want this going out to our site saying, yep, we got all our copies in, pre-order today or buy your copy today, because we can't fulfill that until after the 28th. So that's why this is still showing as being on order, though I know we've got the books and there was some damages, and this will update come Tuesday to show what we actually have. But I can see here 34 copies to be that were pre-ordered, 3 copies for the store, 1 in a pending return. And you can keep going through, and you can just look at the top of the top, keep a good eye on this. This is another copy here that comes out on November 28th. We have something that comes out here in December 26th. Again, big title. This one we're actually starting to get a little low on, so maybe our buyer might use this area to then find out that we need to order more copies ahead of that opening. This is all helpful. Again, if you're a well-established store, to go through and keep an eye on these. But what you might also be using this area for is to keep an eye on like the new release Tuesdays that are coming up. So you can change your scope here and change that to be releasing this week, releasing next week, releasing next month. So I could click here on releasing next month and press go, and then see all my December releases. So I'm still going to see, looks like we have some things in here from still November. Oh wait, because I think I chose the wrong thing. 1 second there. Releasing this month. Oh darn, that's not what I wanted. I want to then get rid of that, and I want to go do next month, not November. There we go. Cool. So I could look at what comes out in November, keep an eye on it, but what I want is December. So there we go, December. And so again, we're seeing just our December releases. I know what a lot of our stores do, because some of them are buying very far in advance. So months and months in advance, ahead of the season, with your rep, either with doing digital catalogs in Canada, or with Edelweiss in the United States, using digital catalogs there. And sometimes it's been a long time since you put a particular book on order, or you've looked at that season or look at that month of releases, and things change. There's a lot of stores put their orders in before, a lot of stores wait till the month before or a couple weeks before. So it's nice to kind of almost refresh yourself on like what's coming up, what's coming. Have you missed anything, or do you need to raise the order quantity for those titles? And what I like to do as well, and especially if we're thinking about have I missed anything, under here, stock status, not carried, this would also show me the titles that come out in December that I've completely missed. And actually, I'm just going to change here my releasing next month, and I'm going to take that off. Go. And I'm just getting December. I'm just getting the things that are not carried. So not in the store, not on order. And here I get this one. So this is ranked about 5,000 overall. right now it is considered selling. It looks like we have some pre-orders or pre-sales that are happening, which are kind of impacting the numbers a little bit, but this is something that we don't have on hand or on order. So potentially our buyer would see this, decide to bring it in, and again, build the order. This was something that our buyer already probably spotted. So it looks like our buyer has gone through this and has put 2 copies in on order under Scholastic. So this is already in here. We can also see this was something that she did recently, because she also, it's still sitting in the cart online, but it's 2 copies to UTP. So even if I want to get rid of that, there's also a fun new thing that I can do where I can say, also, if it's in the biz cart, I don't want it to be included either. So I'm going to reset this, and I'm also going to say, oh, it looks like I can't. Oh, you know what? I don't have access to the biz cart. That's why. All right. So we're just going to keep what we had. So we're going to keep our not carried. There we go. Okay. So know that you can use this area or this filter area to do quite a few things. Once you've built the order, the next most important part is looking at that order and then potentially working with it. So when I look or want to work with my order, what I do is I click on this cart. Now, this cart is where all of those orders have been building. So I'm going to click on there, and you're going to see this is a very busy cart for us because our buyer is in here all the time and using this area to do a lot of different things. Now, this is mostly managed by Sarah Class and our buyer. So you'll see here her name by on all these different lists. And then we see mine. So there's my list here, my Penguin Random House, my 3 books that I have on order. So what I'm wanting to do is maybe I'm wanting to review this. Maybe I'm wanting to click on here and check the titles. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that book. Yeah, I want that. I want that. Okay, great. Yeah, these are all good to go. I know from here sometimes, especially our new stores, when they're working on their opening orders, sometimes you have an idea. You kind of go wild with the ordering. You order all the things you want, all the things you think you're going to want, and then you get in this area, and then you go, oh my gosh, I have spent a lot of money on books, and maybe that doesn't quite align with the budget. So again, this is where we can edit. If I decided, you know what, actually this recipe tin eats in, I don't really want that anymore. I don't want to do it. You can just delete it. And now my line there for Carly is, if I refresh this page, it is then just going to be the 2 copies that I want. There they are. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well now you have to take that order, but you know, I have to combine it in with the other orders I'm building or my special orders or whatever it is. So this is just, again, a working area on the site that you can kind of play with, add quantities. It's not really a place for you to like link up to customers. That's what you'll be doing in your Bookmanager software. But this is a way for, again, researching, finding new titles, finding out where the holes are in the stock. And then when you're ready, you press submit. Now this does not submit it to the supplier. This is going to submit it down to your Bookmanager software. So I'm going to press submit here, submit, okay. And I'm going to then, it says order sent, great. I'm going to open up Mosaic, my Mosaic book software, and I am going to go have a look to see how this dropped into my Bookmanager. So I'm going to go down to order processing. That's where all of the orders end up meeting one another. So we're talking your reordering reports from your sales reports. We're talking your customer special orders and pre-orders. We're talking things from the biz site. Everything is meeting in order processing. And then what we're doing is we're looking. So because I used my code of C, my Penguin Random House C order, these are my 2 books. If I press enter here it is, Scandinavian, from scratch, Scandinavian Gathering, obviously in a very, very big mood for Scandinavian cooking. If let's say it's been a few days and I'm wondering, is that a book I still want? I can always press my space bar and it up pops my my cover here, and I could say, yeah, is that the book? Oh yeah, I remember those. Yep, those are the ones I want. And then I could decide to edit this line and combine it in, take out the C, which would then combine it in with my regular Penguin Random House order. Now, I don't actually want to do that because our buyer might be upset with me. She might be wondering why all these Scandi books got ordered into or got added to her cart. I mean, she probably would love them, so maybe I should just do that. But I'm not going to jail. Run that by her first. She's in charge. But that's all I would have to do. And if I removed this C, what would happen is it would merge that together with my regular Penguin Random House order, which at the moment is sitting only at one book because we are ordering constantly all day long from Penguin Random House. As soon as we're hitting those minimums, it feels like lately, just again to stay ahead of the holidays and what's going on. So that would merge together, and then it would become part of my PO that I'm putting through. For the stores, quickly, I just want to talk about with the stores that are working on their opening orders. What is often the case when you get started is you are having these massive orders that you're working on. We are putting in, tons of books. We might be using that group letter to differentiate between like fiction and nonfiction and kids, or if there's a couple different staff members that are doing the buy, maybe one that's more directed at the kids product, one that's more at adult. We can use those groups and we can use those different, different accounts to sort of organize the stock or organize these buys a little bit differently. There's also fun things we can do, like once we're looking at the titles, like, so this is, let's grab this HarperCollins one. So if we clicked on HarperCollins, these 56 titles, you can also do some filtering, which is kind of fun. So you can click on filter and sort. It'll open up that list in a way for you to organize it. You can see the shelf location of like where those books are going to be shelved. This is what we're using a lot too when we're doing our opening buy, to then see, am I really heavy in a certain area or am I a little lighter in others? So know that there's a ton of tools behind the scenes here to keep yourselves organized while you're doing that buy. The one thing that I want to show you most specifically is that when we get to the end and you're thinking, yes, my Penguin Random House's order is ready, my Ingram order is ready, whatever it is, my whatever publisher, it could be 100 or 20 different publishers or distributors you're working with, or a single publisher, distributor, wholesaler, whatever it is. In the end, what we're using is this XLS column because we want to create an Excel sheet for our opening order. It is very rare that right off the bat we can send our orders electronically to our suppliers. So we are clicking on XLS and it's opening up. Sure. And I can go look this up here. Let's just open that up. Excel's just opening on my other tab here, but I'll just drag it over. What it brings us is this. And so what we can do is we can then change this to be, enable editing, great. Drag it over again. There we go. We can change this to like opening Harper order, and we can then say who it's created by, what time, our quantity, our total sale price. This is all determined for us. We can give it a PO, so 10001. We can give it a cancel date, so February 23rd, 2024. Potentially I have a promo code, maybe not, but then this is my order and this is what I use to send off to them. So I would save it, I'd email off that to my rep, and our opening order is done. The only other thing that we then have to do as a final step is then submit that into Bookmanager. So we submit it into Bookmanager, we then update what's there, mark it as being sent already. So not something we have to send electronically to our supplier like we will in the future. We will just then mark it as being sent. We would give it that same PO. That order's done, because not only does the order drop in when we submit from here, but the inventory cards, how we've classified the books, all those little bits, all those little details come across as part of that. So it just means you don't have to do double entry. You're not also having to enter and add those books to the system as they arrive. They'll all come through electronically or manually, depending on the supplier. But that is how the opening buy will sort of be organized. So know that we will discuss that when the time comes, but that is how that works. Now, another part of this, and it kind of more relates, like not so much to the ordering side, but to how you're featuring titles, both to yourself, to remind yourself of titles, but also how you might be featuring titles to your customers. So on our site, I'm just going to jump there. Here we go. Mosaic Books. I'm just going to jump over. I'm going to log out. There we are. So I'm logged in as myself, as a customer on our site right now under mosaicbooks.ca. As I scroll down here, I'm going to see some fiction lists. These are hand-picked titles that our staff have chosen. Here are some brand new titles. This is a little different. This is what's called a dynamic list. So we're saying, book has to come out in the last 2 weeks, has to be in stock at our store, and then feature in the order of its popularity. So these two different lists are two different ways that we can essentially build lists on the site. So I'm going to show you those two different ways. When we're logged in, again, we're back on the Biz site here. When I'm looking at a title and I want to add that to my list, what I can do is I can click on this little button here that says My Lists. When I do that, it brings up and it shows me right now this book is in our fantasy list. So we must have a fantasy list featured someplace, maybe somewhere in our genre fiction list that we have on our site, maybe someplace else, but it's in our fantasy list. I can see it's not in Sarah's staff picks, it's not in Geisha's, our middle school picks and whatnot, of course. It's just in that list alone. But I could create either a new list, or I could go and add it to somebody's list if I wanted to, or if they wanted to, and that would then show up at the top of that list on their staff picks or on that list that we've newly added. So I'm going to create, and we'll call this November Hits. I'm not gonna worry about the sorting because I'm just gonna let the order just be what it is as I add it. Don't need to add a description, but I could also import a list of ISBNs if I had a spreadsheet or something that I was creating where I had it already created for me. But I'm just gonna press Save to say, let's create a list called November Hits. So I'm going to say not only is this book on this list, but I also want to add it under this QP column here. This is talking about a quick pick. So this is something that I want to be easily accessible as I go through this list. So I'm going to click on there, and I'm now going to click close. And I can see here, it's now popped up under this November Hits. And I see now November Hits next to everything. So this is an October title. So sorry, Jeff Kinney, you don't get to be in my November Hits. Neither do you. Neither do you. Let's see, where's the November one? Oh, there we go. So the other special edition Fourth Wing title there, you're also going to go my November Hits. And October, Brittany, you just missed it. Perfect. Oh, that's November 2022. So nope, skip. And great, this one's also going on. And I could go through, I could also use the filters at the top here to then limit to say only show me November titles, and I could then pick and choose. So again, releasing this month, great. Go, and now my list would be a little smaller. So I could pick and choose the titles that I want, but this is all just to show you that in the end, what I would do is I would go under purchasing here and I would go under my lists, and now I see November Hits right at the top. So I could then from this, now that I know it exists, pick it up on my web store designer. If you haven't watched the web store designer demo yet, please jump over to there. But this will then be a list that I could play with on that side. Now, another thing, like I mentioned before about those new release lists. So this would be, again, what I would use to handpick titles, to do staff picks, whatever it is. But what I can then also do is I can make a very complicated set of filters. So I could say the scope has to be recent releases. Go. I could then also say it has to be in store. I want to feature just the things I have. Great. I could then say subject-wise, I want this to be fiction. Great, go. And I could also then go under my sub-subject now, and I could say, has to be romance. Go. Now, I get my list below here. I get 21 results, which is as of today, last 2 weeks, in stock, romance, fiction. This is great. This is a great little list. Perfect. I can save this as a filter preset. So now I might be wanting to save this as a filter because it's a filter I'm going to use all the time. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to want to check stock on this particular criteria all the time. So I might come in here and go, I want to say new release or new romance in stock now. Save. All right, so that's one of mine in stock now. So I could then, I'm going to just close that. I can refresh my page, right? And now I get back to Iron Flame, and then I could go under filter presets and I can just click on that and it does all that hard work for me. So this again can be used for a lot of different reasons, for whatever you can imagine. But the coolest reason is that now when I go under my lists, I can create a list. I can create a list. There we go. And I can call this like, yay, romance. New romance in store now. Okay. And instead of, oh wait, sorry. Yeah, there we go. And instead of then choosing a static list where I've handpicked the titles and done a bunch of different things, I can choose my filter preset of new romance in stock now and go save. And this now creates a list. Cool. It creates a list. It could just be something that, again, I want to save, I want to come back to. It's updated as the month goes on, as we get to the next new release Tuesday, and new books all come out, which I might just use for myself. But what I can also use it for is from my web store designer tool. So I'm not going to show you that today in this call. You can see that in the web store designer tutorial. It'll talk about making a slider of content and how we would pull in and pick up that content. But here's where we could kind of build it all. And this list can also be maybe saved as a PDF. I can create a PDF, which includes like the barcode. It includes information, how many we have on hand and on order. Again, anything that we can imagine, that could be something that we send to a school or a teacher. So again, whatever you can dream up. We can also just share this either to Facebook, or we can send this link in an email to a school, and then they can shop from it on our site. A lot of different uses. So know that however you decide to make those lists, you're going to have some options there, and we'll go through this in the training. Quickly, just at the end of the call here, I just want to also show you how under the settings, this is where I kind of teased in the web store, the designer, and also in the web store ordering video, how there's a lot of settings behind the scenes, and this is where you manage them all. So under settings here, these are all the different settings. There are many, and each one has a lot of different scrollability here, so you can get an idea of what's all possible. This is how our store is set up. So again, the settings will be fine-tuned for you, but this is also where we can set up your gift cards. So these are our old gift cards. These are our models that have been retired, but now these are our new models that we are currently selling. So again, we've been using gift cards for a long time on our site, and those are, again, are all managed through this area. Kind of see like a little life cycle kind of our gift cards there. We can also, this is where we can go and set up promo codes. We can also then set up our receipt logo. So there's a lot that is going to be done kind of behind the scenes. This is also where we can add events, which is fun, you will see. And this is where we can also do that. So BizSite is not just for ordering, it's going to do a lot. But yeah, I hope that's a good intro and got you kind of excited about what your day-to-day activities in Bookmanager and using the site is going to look like. If you have any specific questions about how you might use this area, or if something how you're working it in your current setup, if that will sort of work in this environment, be sure to let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for the other demos if you haven't watched through yet. There's a web store demo, designer demo, software demo, and yeah, we'll be in touch soon.